Almighty God and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for an opportunity that we can gather for. Father, we thank you for an opportunity that we live in a place that, Lord, our country, democracy. And Father, we ask God your blessings tonight upon our city. Father, we thank you for every department head. Father, we thank you for our mayor and our city council. And Father, we pray now, God, that your will be done, that your name will be glorified. For in Christ's name I pray.
Amen. If you would please, I'd like to have a moment of silence. This last month, we lost Gina Calloway. She's been here almost 30 years with our city. Very sad time for us. And also, Mayor Pro Tem lost her husband, A.J. Cole. So if you would, let's have a moment of silence for them, please. Thank you. You got the magic touch. Thank you. Council and staff, you see the announcements. Are there any announcements, adjustments to the announcements, or additions to the announcements you'd like to add? Okay, no, thank you. Also, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Looks like we got a full house tonight, and it's really good that you take time out of your day to come here and come before council and tell us your concerns and your needs. And we do appreciate it. Anybody online that's listening, thank you, and we'll proceed from here. Thank you so much. At this time, I will open up the floor for public comment. And public comment is one of the first things we do. Public comment is, this agenda is included to allow input to the City Council from any citizen who wishes to address the council without requesting to be on the agenda. Those who wish to address City Council are required to provide their name, address, including city and county of residence, and topics. Speakers shall be courteous in their language and presentation. Any disruption of the meeting, insults, personal attacks, accusations, profanity, vulgar language, inappropriate gestures, other inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated. If this occurs, the person will be identified and asked to stop or leave. If the behavior continues and they refuse to leave, they will be removed from the council meeting. A speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. The number of speakers on a topic relating to a future advertised public hearing matter may be limited at council's discretion. Council reserves the right to request a designated spokesperson for a large group. The spokesperson for the large group would be allowed 6 minutes. The public session will be limited to 30 minutes. The council will only listen and not respond, but may decide to place a topic on a future agenda. Thank you. First up on the public comment is Mindy Alexandra. Good evening.
I wanted to, first of all, invite you all to attend the King Chamber of Commerce Business Before Hours tomorrow evening, or tomorrow morning, that'd be before hours, at the Restore. It's at 7:30, and I'd love for y'all to come. It's supposed to be a big one tomorrow. Kathy's going to bring some door prizes. We've got some really new members that are going to be part of it, so we'd love to have y'all. And then I also want to invite you to attend our newest and most recent homebuyer dedication at 145 Redwood Bend Road in King. It is on October 7th at 6 p.m. And I'll send an invite out for y'all as well. But this is a family that has gone to, it's a mom and a son The son has gone to Stokes County Schools and is now a member at Calvary, a student at Calvary. He's 13. So they've been working diligently to get in this home, and it is beautiful. This is also Tyler Van Meter's first home with us, so we're really excited, but we'd love to have y'all join us. Again, that's October 7th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Is that gonna be at the,
It is.
sorry, I wasn't listening.
That's okay. It's at 145 Redwood Ave.
You say Redwood, Ben? Okay, next up is Susan Warner. Excuse me? No. Did you want to be on the other one?
Well, I don't know, what else I'm on?
You signed up for public comment.
What am I?
Your public hearing.
We don't know.
You want to comment on the public hearing, is that correct?
Yeah, well, I just noticed one, I didn't see another one.
Okay. All right, we'll take you off of this one,
And put me on the other.
put you on the other. Yes, ma'am.
I did that on purpose. I told you to do it.
Okay. Next up is Sam Jones.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Jones, service principal at West Oaks High School, and I'm here just to say thank you to the city and to everyone. I started off, I primarily worked with Mr. Barrow and Mr. Mary, and still be working with him all the time on the flags, and just to say thank you for the partnership in the last several weeks and years, but really in the last weeks we've had dealings, and not all negative, but with the police department and our fire department, and just the way that they responded and their professionalism and their support in situations. We just ordered new flags. They came in, so hopefully they'll get those up soon. But really, it's just for the last, I guess, 2-3 years now. I just want to say thank you. As we're certainly part of Stokes County Schools, and are proud to be part of Stokes County Schools, but we're also proud to be in the neighborhoods of Pinnacle, Tobacco, and King as well. And so I know sometimes it's a thankless job, but seriously, thank you, and we mean it. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Next up is Justin Frazier. Yes, sir.
Ben, I'm in the right section, right? All right. Just a general comment. First off, thank you for the city's support, continued support of King Little League. I continue to serve as our Vice President of Operations over the league. It's come to our attention over the past couple of weeks. We've got some, I believe an issue was uncovered on Field 3 where our lights, our newly erected lights that we've been enjoying, thanks to some partnerships with you guys. We're having some issues with those and may not have access to the lights specifically on Field 3. In working with Ben, I think we're trying to uncover the costs that may need to repair those. And so just want to know, this may be an additional discussion, but how can we as a league partner with you all as a city? That is our primary focused field there. It's right there by the concession stand. I believe some funds were just issued to revamp the concession stands at both the soccer fields and the baseball fields. As you all know, it's our desire to give the youth of the city an opportunity to play, and that field specifically is one that we utilize most frequently. We've made some adjustments, especially in the fall. We need those lights for both our coach pitch and our minor player pitch games, especially during the week. It gets dark a lot sooner. We tried to make some adjustments last year, rented some portable lights at a cost to the league. Didn't really work out, had some player safety concerns, so we've moved schedules around. So this kind of came as a shock to us, knowing that field may not be available to us during the week. That would take us down to only 2 fields with lights now at the park, which does have a great concern to us. So just as we come up on addressing that, I just need to know, or would like to understand, how we could partner with the city on getting that repaired. Because we're gonna have around 30 games just during weekdays that will be scheduled on that field, not counting the other fields, softball and things like that. So really a heavily used part of the park, so.
You have already spoken with Mr. Marion?
Yeah, we're continuing to work together. So,
We'll work with him and the city manager and see what we come up with to help you with
okay, all right, that sounds great. Thank you very
that.
much. Thank you for your help.
Justin. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Stephen Lanis. Did I slaughter that or no? Thank you, sir.
I live on 613 West Dalton Road in King, North Carolina. I've got a water issue ever since I moved there in 2010. Rutting out my lower driveway. They say the water problem supposedly is either the pipes are not big enough, running over my driveway and going in my basement, flooding my basement out. I'm assuming it's all coming from the baseball field up there. Well, they would need probably to move the water across the road over on the other side of the road instead of on my side of the road, which has been going on since 2010. And you know, they've been there once or twice and scraped my lower driveway to fix it, and I have to, you know, every time it washes out my driveway, I have to get somebody with a tractor to scrape my driveway back because it ruts it out probably at least a foot or more. Rutting my driveway out. I mean, it's been going on since, like I say, since 2010. And either I need a bigger pipe put in, you know, so it won't run down my driveway and flood out my basement. That's my main concern, what I'm here for.
Has some of our people been out there lately, Ben?
Yes. You and Ricky Lewis went and met with
Okay. We'll talk to them and see what we need to do on that situation.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Thank you so much.
Sir. Nobody else signed up for public comment. We'll close that session at 6:13. Next up, council, is there any adjustments to the agenda? I have a couple, and then I think Councilman Lane, I think you've got one also. I've got two. We're going to be going into closed session for the purpose of North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A5, and that's to instruct staff concerning negotiabilities of a price on property, real estate property, and then also on closed session for attorney-client privilege per NC General Statute 143-318.11A3. So that will be to go into closed session on those two. And Councilman Lane, you had one also?
I've got NCGS 143-318.11A4. That is to discuss matters related to the location or expansion of business in the area served by this body.
Okay. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion from council on that to go into closed session on
I move approval.
adjustments.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Next up is to approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion. The consent agenda is first order of business. These items listed are believed to be non-controversial and administrative in nature. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless a councilman requests or a citizen requests and is granted permission to speak. The items will then be removed from the consent agenda and considered individually. Otherwise, all items will be enacted as one motion. Is there anything that council would like to pull off the consent agenda for separate discussion?
I move approval for the consent agenda with the adjustment of the corrected minutes, which is before you.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, Councilman. We are on to item number 3, which is something I really like to bring forward to our citizens. We've got 2 new employees for the city. I think the police chief may want to introduce our new police officer. I had the honor of swearing him in on August the 7th, and he's hit the ground running, I think. So.
Yeah, he's hit the ground running. That's Officer Tuttle. Just got through BLET. He is in our FTO training at this point, but we're glad to have him. That actually will get us about full, like one, but we've got one filling that final position September 15th. So, but he is coming straight out of BLET, but ready to have him, get him working, get him on the road, and working for us.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Glad to have you.
I did, when I swore him in, I got to talk to his mama. I like to talk to their mamas. She said, it's not the job I would wish for him, but he loves it, so we know you do a great job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Next up, I think, will be the city manager.
I'd like to introduce Corey Callum. He's been with us all day. Started today. He's working close to Ricky Gordon. He comes to us from, he's been in construction for about the last 8.5 years out of state. So he's from here and he's returning home. He's our new building inspector.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Welcome.
So you've been out of state. Where were you?
Kansas.
Kansas?
Yeah,
Wow.
That's, that's Brad's all about it.
All right. Well, thank you for coming here. I got to speak to him over in the office over there. We had a few little things I told him, so glad you're here. Next up on the agenda is Employee of the Quarter presentation, Fireman Brandon Queen. And I'm going to read you, this is a pretty prestigious award, I feel like, because he is recommended by his peers for this. And so I'm going to read you what his peers said about him, and it's all good. To Mayor and Council, I would like to nominate firefighter Brandon Queen for the Employee of the Quarter Award. Firefighter Queen consistently has gone above and beyond in his role. He is consistently able to troubleshoot apparatuses, maintenance problems, and help diagnose mechanical issues that keep the department from having a large problem when the mechanical issues cause future failure. Firefighter Queen maintains a positive attitude every shift and jumps in to complete tasks in a timely manner. He works well with all shift mates and does not complain when tasks given may require extra work on his part. He's consistent in his work and has the effort and drive to complete tasks assigned. Respectfully submitted by Jason Ferris, Captain of C Shift. So I've got something to give to you. You want to come up here? This is the most important part right here. Here is your certificate. Yes, sir. You'll enjoy that. Congratulations. And here's your vest. Thanks, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. That's the fun part about this job. If y'all see these firefighters and policemen out in the public, thank them. They do a job for us that a lot of times it goes unnoticed, and we really do appreciate that. So, number 5 on our agenda tonight is a presentation of proclamation on Constitution Week. Daughters of the American Revolution, James Hunter Chapter. And if I can ask Dr. Kathleen Fowler to come up here. I like our new thing, but it makes me hard to get down and present things to people. But this is a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas on September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September the 17th through the 23rd as Constitutional Week. Now therefore, I, Richard E. McCraw, by virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor of the City of King, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd, 2025 to be Constitutional Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideas of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. And witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the great city, a seal of the City of King, to be affixed this the 2nd day of September in the year of our Lord 2025. And this is your proclamation, ma'am. And thank you so much for coming. She's going to get your picture back. Thank you. It's a great country we live in. We need to take advantage of situations like that. Okay, next I will open up a public hearing. We'll open this up at 6:23. And the purpose of the amendment by Arden Group in Chapter 32, Article 3, Section 32-163 and Section 32-164. Proposed addition to Chapter 32, Article 5, Division 1, Section 32-261. I think Scott Barrow, oh, sorry, jumped ahead. I think, well, Todd's not here. Are you going to do this?
I am.
All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you. We have an applicant, Arden Group Incorporated, who is proposing a zoning text amendment that would add a new zoning use district, mixed use, to the zoning ordinance in Section 32-163 and 164, and in Section 32-261. We currently have something similar in Section 32-248, planned unit development, and it mainly applies to residential uses and is used to create a mixed-use site plan. In the past, our PUDs have consisted of single-family, multi-family apartments, or townhomes with up to 20% of the total tract that could be used for business-type uses that would service the residential uses, similar to something like Kings Crossing. The new proposed mixed-use district by Arden Group would apply to almost all uses listed in Section 32-198 through 206, with a few uses excluded such as agriculture and heavy industrial. If approved, this would be a conditional zoning mixed-use district only and reviewed and approved or denied based on the requirements of Section 32-164 and the newly adopted requirements of Section 32-261. This request comes to the city as a way to broaden the existing PUD in Section 32-248. This proposed amendment would allow the designer/developer the means to do a more conceptual site plan with a few less restrictions on it than the PUD, and to expand the commercial percentage of the site from 20% in the PUD to a minimum of 37% in the proposed mixed-use district with a maximum of 63% residential. Staff and the chairman of the planning board have worked with the applicant's land planners and came up with a revised version of the applicant's first version. We defined a lot of the items that the planning board and our attorney have pointed out as being potential issues. Just to review a few of the major issues: setbacks not defined, commercial and residential use percentages not defined, height restrictions not clear, and the traffic memorandum. We have tried to better address the above concerns listed above in the new version. The land planners will be going over these during the review period. They've also included copies of the traffic memorandum that has been used in other projects in the state for you to review. Staff recommends that council review the revised ordinance amendment and see if it's a tool that the city is ready to have in the city ordinances. Also, it needs to be in line with our comp plan, which haven't been updated yet. If approved, staff does not need to see any potential user of the district anytime soon, but could see some issues in where the new district would be used when we still need to update our city comp plan. It does have some good merits, but we may want to hold on it until we can update our comp plan and define where this district may be used. If there's a motion to approve, please include in your motion to approve ordinance 2025-04 and a statement that the text amendment is in keeping with the city's comp plan. Planning board recommendation: the planning board voted 3-2 to recommend approval of the text amendment.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I'll open this up now for public comment. And first up is Steve Boo. Sir, Steve.
I came with prepared statement, so I didn't get too long-winded.
All right,
Even
sir.
though I got limited time. My name is Steve Boo. I've lived in and around King since the 1970s. First, before explaining the issues I see, I'd like to give a little bit of my background. I have a Bachelor of Science from UNC Charlotte in Earth Science with a track in Environmental Science and a concentration within that of Hydrology. I also have some graduate work in Urban Geography, which is known by most as urban planning. In addition to this, my credentials have expired, but I was once a certified professional in erosion and sediment control. With that being said, the issues I see are as follows. The problem is, as you build more homes, they in turn require more resources. If a town keeps growing like King is, then it's chasing its tail. The resources needed for these additional homes will exceed the revenue taken in. This is what a lot of small towns do, and this is a fact and not opinion. Also, if we stick to the minimum stormwater requirements, then the current and future residents will be slighted. The stormwater requirements make sure that the peak flow does not exceed pre-construction, but instead it lengthens the time of the peak flow, which causes other problems. Approving this will set the city down a path it will not be able to come back from. Clemens went down the path of dense construction, and now the people downhill are dealing with flooding issues. I have seen a house near a small stream almost lose its foundation due to this. The stream kept growing and growing until major work had to be done to save the house, and this was all due to upstream construction. Also, we do have less cars than much larger towns, but they have many more roads to get around than we do. The other towns are also more spread out and not just in one tight area. Our current road layout was not designed to handle the traffic. With the specific development behind Calvary Church, which I know is what led a lot of this to where we are, there would also be an increased traffic growing through neighboring neighborhoods. Sorry, I got tongue-tied. With increased traffic going through neighboring subdivisions to take their children to schools, as well as everyday traffic. Also, I believe that we need a traffic study completed by NCDOT before moving forward with any developments. And then needed improvements need to be made prior to developments being approved. We have not even seen all the results of all the other construction occurring around town yet. Increasing the tax revenue from this development or other developments like this will not help because the revenue will never catch up to the expenditures cost from the development. I hear the word urban sprawl being used, but urban sprawl is when the town is growing in area just outside the city and not just becoming more dense. Increasing population density causes congestion to get worse, as well as stormwater problems. As of the last time I spoke with NCDEQ, the city will have to adopt a stormwater program once the population hits 10,000 residents, and that is not far off. Also, we have to remember that developers' jobs are to develop land for the most profit they can make. That is just a fact of business. The more houses and/or units they can build per acre, the more they'll make in profit. It is in turn the city council's responsibility, as I see it, to look at all the facts and make a decision which is best for the people of the city, because the people are the city. In the city, if the city council does not look far into the future, then the city of King could overpopulate in terms of density, causing several issues versus actually growing out. That is why I'm against this change.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Luke Dickey.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Luke Dickey with Stimmel Associates, 601 North Trade Street, Suite 200, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, agent for the petitioner on this item. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if we get further in depth on this as well. So I don't know if I also have just 6 minutes or whatever it is to speak at this point. Just I can speak longer. All right, so that way I can get kind of through all these kind of talking points. Key thing on this is the request of this text amendment was, as we were going through, as mentioned with the Arden Group, we were looking at a site that was looking at as a PUD, working with planning staff and everything else, and we saw that there was a little bit of tools lacking in the toolbox of the overall ordinance. The ordinance was originally written in 1985. Some updates have taken place, of course, mainly in the 90s from that standpoint, but this is really kind of in place for the PUD since that time frame. What you have in your PUD regulations are good. We didn't want to request a text amendment to change the PUD requirements. Those were working just fine as they are written. But again, it's primarily focused as residential and then adding a little bit of commercial within that. So what we kind of propose at this point is working with staff at the time, instead of the city, which usually typically addresses new text amendments, stuff like that, they asked us to draft one up, and we brought that forward. And this is what we have here before you tonight, is this mixed use district. And it's more, again, focused on commercial as opposed to just residential. So it's another tool within that. Key differences between this and the PUD is the PUD is a special use permit. That goes through findings of facts and kind of different level of information for that approval. This is a conditional zoning request, is how we've written it. So it's more discretionary to bring forward to work with council, work with planning staff and the planning board through conditions and how we can tailor the project at that point. So it's not really kind of based on the findings of facts. It's on, we can add conditions, we can work with you, and we can kind of bring these projects forward as they come. And with that, this is not in regards to a specific site at this point. This is just an overall text amendment to the UDO itself. So we're not bringing a site forward or any projects at this point. It's just kind of what that kind of was the kickoff for what this was. To kind of walk you through real quickly kind of the mixed use request and setting it up is, unlike a PUD, which is 10 acres in size, the minimum size, we've established this as being 5 acres, because if it's going to be more commercial oriented or focused and adding some mixed use within that, 10 acres is a pretty big site, especially that's predominantly all commercial. There's a lot of commercial already here in King in those sites, but this is kind of more of those kind of infill sites. So 5 acres we thought was a good size for that to be able to take place. We did work with staff in defining more of the dimensional requirements again. One of the key things was the perimeter setback from the definitions there. So we've established a 20-foot minimum setback from any perimeter. So there's nothing that can go up against any adjacent properties. But in the mixed use, we would establish those setbacks as the requirements of the mixed use plan from there. Maximum height, we did kind of change that not to exceed 50 feet or 3 stories. So there's nothing that can go higher than that. Your ordinance does have a requirement that you can go higher than 50 feet, but it's additional setbacks back from that. So we took that same language that's already in the ordinance for the setback requirements and heights. Density, as kind of discussed before, was working out, how much commercial percentages and how much residential percentages were in there. And we came to agreement on a minimum of 37% from a commercial use. It could be higher than that, but no more than, and that would be 63% of residential, and that could be multifamily apartments, could be single-family uses, duplexes, townhomes, things like that. So with a mixed-use development, what we kind of look at is we're trying to find a way to say we're going to be more of an urban environment the higher density kind of stuff, commercial use will be at the front. Usually they back up to residential areas, and so what we plan to do is you step down the uses to match the residential uses that you're backing up to. So it's kind of a height and density as you go back to that. So we want to provide that toolbox to be able to have different uses that can transition to, predominantly usually is what single family here in the city of King from that standpoint. In regards to landscape and buffering, that will be defined really, that depends on what our adjacent properties are and the context would it be. So again, when we bring the plan forward from that, you'd establish what those buffers are, and that would be the conditions. Commercial areas, there's a section in here that talks about when you're adjacent to residential and office areas. Again, it's provided that we're providing pedestrian access between them, so we want to kind of blend that together. So there's provision that says, you know what, you got to provide sidewalks and everything else, pedestrian access from your residential to your commercial. So again, it kind of functions together because that helps reduce trips. You don't have to get in the car then at that point to go to utilize the commercial use. Same thing if you're in a mixed use and you have non-residential buildings, you know, we want the ground level to be kind of facade pedestrian friendly. So that's kind of defined in here as well. One of the things we kind of discussed then was really open space and then kind of common recreation areas. So we kind of broke it down into kind of two things. Common open space was going to be basically 5% for where your commercial areas are. So wherever your commercial area is, 5% of that has to be open space. But the focus was not just to be open space. It was saying we're going to define what it is, and it's going to be more of an active type of open space, whether it's a plaza or a park space or something like that. So it's something not just, it's not buffer yards, it's not just green space that's off to the side. It's got a specific use to it, and it's actually going to be a minimum of 5%. When it comes to common recreation areas, then for when you have residential units, it's 100 square feet per unit. So you get more units you have, then more common recreation space that you have. Then again, then it's the defined use of recreation area. It's not just, you know, the buffer, and it's not just the yard that's in front of the building. It's going to be a defined use that has to take place within that. So in case you had 40 units, you would have 4,000 square feet of recreation area. If you had 100 units, then that's 10,000 square feet. So it's kind of a correlation. The more units you have, the more common recreation area you have to provide. And within that, this is taken from the same language within the PUD, you know, conveyance and maintenance of common open space and common recreation areas. This is really mostly this would be established by a homeowners association or within a business development association that would take care of those. But if they have a large enough site that comes to develop and King wants a new city park and it gets designed as part of this mixed use development, then there's some provisions that they could dedicate that over to the city if they so choose and they wanted that. It talks about circulation kind of facilities. Again, that's really looking at vehicular and pedestrian circulation so that we tie everything together so you're not coming out to just one main artery. That's where all your congestion happens because all development gets directed out to one location. So we're trying to tie everything again together to disperse traffic from that standpoint. And then, let's see, and then parking and loading. We do have a portion of this that there's a reduction of up to 30% of parking. That's for commercial uses. If you have residential uses, there's no reduction you can take on this. Typically, what we kind of see this, if you're doing a mixed-use type of development, people are walking to these locations, so they don't necessarily have to get in a car. So this gives the flexibility to reduce the amount of parking that's required for the commercial. Doesn't mean that somebody's going to come forward and take this 30% reduction. They may only need 10%. It just depends on what they look at. And again, that's going to be an overall development by development basis at that point. And that request will come forward to council to say, you know, we're taking a 30% reduction, we're taking a 10% reduction, and then it gets discussed why they need that and whether the council feels that that's going to be appropriate or not. Common sign plan, again, setting up where your signs are going to be within the development. Utilities, same thing from the UDOs, everything's underground from that standpoint. And then, like I said, the review is something that's a conditional zoning, so it comes back before council to review and to vote on and approve. The Unified Development Plan then is kind of overarching, so this is all the documents that you pull together for the rezoning request. You have your concept plan. This is envisioned as more of, we're not getting to the nitty-gritty details of here's where all your lots are, here's how your buildings exactly lay out, here's where all the parking is, and everything like that. It's more of here's your site circulation, here's the defined bubble areas, here's the uses that can go within those areas, here's the max heights, here's the density or total amount of units you have, here's how much common open space you would have in those areas. So it's a little bit broader in that sense, not really locking you down into a defined concept plan because the market can change. And this allows you then to be flexible with that, but you're setting the overall parameters all the way around and how this gets developed on a conditional standpoint. The common sign plan, again, is part of that. Documentation and any regulations that come up, these could be all your written conditions that would be attached to the overall proposal. And it defines that, so it tightens it down even more. They define what phases are. So if it's a large site, you're going to have more phases, so you define where those phases are as well. And then the traffic impact statement, kind of here, it costs a lot to go forward with a traffic impact analysis. And it may be needed for if you have a much larger project that's going to be generating a lot of traffic. But in the case of like a 5-acre site or something that's not as big, where it's not going to be really requiring a whole lot of traffic impact, we want that flexibility not to have them required to go through putting together a TIA, but you're doing that memorandum where somebody analyzes how much traffic is it going to generate, does it have any trigger points, is there a turn lane warrant analysis or something like that, that we know that these could be the road improvements, and then it could be determined at that point saying, you know what, we think this project is going to develop and have a lot of traffic in it, so we'll condition then that a TIA would be required at that point. So that could be up to council at that point, but it's not something that you have to come in right off the bat and have it in your pocket, depending on the project by project basis. So it's really kind of looking at that flexibility from there. So overall, we think this would be just kind of a good tool in the toolbox for King. Especially there's areas up and down Main Street that we kind of looked at. That was that kind of 5-acre basis that has that potential that could be redeveloped in time over the future, and that have a great tie-in, basically right downtown, and walkability, and kind of focus with that. The intent there is not to be kind of that urban sprawl again. I know Emerson had mentioned kind of the concept, the comprehensive plan kind of being reviewed. That's the first we heard about that taking place. But we do see this as a good tool that would fit within that as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have in regards to the request.
Okay. I'll open it up for questions from council. Councilman Lane?
As I was reading over, I saw the concept plan. I like that idea. Within that, would you, or would in a situation like this, would a look of the neighborhood be presented as far as architectural drawings, that sort of thing, that one of the conditions would be, buildings have a certain, brick or siding or that sort of thing?
Yes.
Is that typically part of the concept plan?
That would, obviously, you wouldn't show that as part of the concept plan, but that could be part of your documentation and your overall zoning conditions that you attach to the overall unified development plan that could define architectural standards. Could be part of that.
Okay. Also within this, and this may be a question for you, maybe a question for Emerson, something that has happened in the past that I'm not a fan of is a neighborhood or a piece of land is rezoned, and then the developer sells that property to another developer, and then the standards drop drastically from the organization that had it rezoned. In a situation like this, where we're talking, 5 acres to an unlimited cap, we would never want that to happen.
Right.
Would that be a conditional use or a conditional thing we would put on there, or is there a way to add into this ordinance change that cannot happen? Or that may be an attorney question.
I think the mixed use rezoning with the conditional zoning applies to the property, not to the particular property owner.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and then requiring deed restrictions on top of that, I think, is something that would exceed the authority that the city has here.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of piggyback on that again. It does go with the property at that point from zoning. So whatever the concept plan that was developed, whatever the conditions that were agreed to in that, they would be beholden on that, whoever was the developer that took it over after that point. So if they want to make modifications to that plan and it's deemed significant on a staff level, they could bring that back to council for reapproval then at that point.
So Mr. Lane and council and mayor, a general rezoning, like if it were just rezoned to B2 by somebody who has a particular use in mind when they do it, and then they sell it, well, the next owner can do anything that B2 allows. With this proposed text amendment, it is proposed as a conditional zoning. Conditional zoning is typically used to put agreed additional restrictions on the property. So it's restrictions that the landowner agrees to. And those restrictions would carry on to the next owner because they go with the property.
Okay. All right, I think that's all the questions I have at this time.
Councilman Bowles?
The one question I had, there was a note here that there was a minimum of 37% commercial and then 63% residential, or a maximum of 63% residential. Is that a percentage by square footage, or is that by use? How is that number calculated?
Yeah, I think it would have to be looked at when we bring it, an actual project kind of comes in. I mean, because you can have a vertical mixed use, and you can also have a horizontal type of mixed use project. So the original intent was to really look at based on the land area overall, because obviously if you had an apartment building, it can have a lot of square footage in it, while you have a one-story retail, that's not going to have as much square footage, but it requires more parking, so it takes up more space. So I could see that being, basically it's going to be on the land area then at that point. But if you have a project that actually comes as a true vertical mixed use then, so let's just say it's all retail on the lower level and the next two levels above are residential, then that can also play into that, 30%, 37%, 63% mix on a vertical scale as well. So it is going to be a project by project basis, but I think the intent was first it's land area, and then if we have a special circumstance, we'd have to work out with staff exactly how that gets worked out.
Good. Councilor Fowler?
I don't think I have any questions right now. I'm just not sure that the city is ready for this tool and the ordinance, so I really don't have any questions right now.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to reserve my comments until later.
Okay. All right, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. We may have you back up. Thank you, Luke. Next up is Randy Griffin.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to try to be nice tonight instead of being my normal self. This has been going on in the process for a while, and of course, you know where my concern is on Timmy's Lane and in the senior living. I went to the planning board meeting the other night, and of course, there was discussion there. And I stand to be corrected on one of my facts, but I thought I heard, and this gentleman here was talking about dispersed traffic and a traffic impact. Traffic moratorium, I think, said that potentially 900 plus vehicles a day could be coming in and going out of that. Now, I saw it somewhere, I think, and there's a report out. I didn't go online, which she directed me, and I should have printed it out. So I stand to be corrected. Is that fair enough to say it that way?
Yes, sir.
But if we have that, that means that from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., let's just use that time frame, that's the most popular. For two streets right now, you would have around 400 so cars, which means there'd be 2 every minute going up and down those streets. Every minute, 2. So those 2 streets cannot handle that. There's no way. Plus, we're going to have the impact from White Road coming over. So I honestly think we do need a traffic study to see if it can handle that much traffic. But I also, like I say, we talked about this and comparing it to King's Crossing. We cannot compare this to King's Crossing, and let me tell you why. King's Crossing comes off of Main Road, Moore RJR, correct? The commercial is in the front. So where does all the delivery trucks go? If the main part of the traffic, except for the residential, never goes through the residential. Now with this, it's going to come up Timmy's Lane, it's coming up Campbell, with transfer trucks or whatever. Come on, that's not common sense. Because again, I know you can widen the roads, but again, look at what's standing in the way of getting to the development. Now I'm not saying not do the development, but I am making a proposal. How's that? I'll give you this right quick, and I'm even gonna give it to the police chief and the fire. That's the 900, and this is what I say, and I'll go back to the mic, I'm sorry, Mayor.
That's okay.
Correct me and throw a rock at me or do something. Say welcome back Potter or something.
Thank you, sir.
So, that's showing the 900 cars. Now, I'm sure that maybe all of you are aware of that tract of land. I say that the Arden Group, stipulation from the city council, be required to buy that land. It's 131 feet wide. It would go straight in to their development. They could have 2 lanes going in, 2 lanes coming out. And it would dump into Main Street where the traffic should be dumped. Not on Meadowbrook and not on Ingram Drive. So please look at that, as I said, as a stipulation. Again, it's just a thought that I think is bona fide, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I will make one statement concerning what you just brought up. This ordinance is not pinpointing a certain piece of property. This proposed zoning would affect any piece of property in the city
right.
over 5 acres. I'm just clarifying it for your.
I understand what you're saying.
But what you're showing here looks really good, and I appreciate you doing that. So, but just for clarification, you know, he said this is for 5 acres plus for ordinance change.
Yes.
Text amendment.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Next up is Susan Warner.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I also point out, so that when you hand out to the council, I also need a copy.
You got one, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me for it? I'm sorry. Help me get through life, will you?
Us old people need help, don't we? Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Susan Warner.
Thank you, members of the City Council, for the opportunity to address tonight's text amendment. I have 4 points to present tonight. Number 1, the Arden Group hired land planners to try to come up with a plan for King's first mixed use district. Now, who will this plan benefit? The company who paid for it, the Arden Group, or the City of King? Second point, Florida is a nice place to visit, but I do not want to live there. I'm glad that Todd Cox lives there and he likes it, but I don't think the cluster developments that he is so fond of will work here. And these, I'm gathering that information from the information he gave me, I presented at the planning meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
And I understand that we're growing and supposedly growth is a good thing, but it is possible to have too much of a good thing. Point number 3, I have learned that 800 to 900 homes or houses will soon be built. I forgot to ask how many apartment buildings are being built now and how many units are in the buildings. Point number 4, could we hire a planning director who lives in King or at least nearby and who has experience? And Emerson, I mean no offense, okay? But there's so much that I have learned in the last 6 months that it is mind-blowing. But I do hope that you as members of the City Council, you are representing Susan Warner and all the people here and everybody that's not here. And I hope you understand that I don't want it to be your agenda, that you're representing all of us when you're making the decision that you have to make. One thing that I have learned is that you can take all these statistics that y'all have rattled off here, and I didn't have the credentials of Mr. Boo. My credentials come from Bending Knee and the School of Hard Knocks. But I am a smart woman, and I know that we have got to be careful that we protect our city, because we've got our children and grandchildren and many more people to take care of. It's not just about us. But I would like for these remarks that I've put forth tonight, that they be in the minutes. And I would like to get some answers to the questions, because I'm not sure how the politics works for this, because I submitted things to the planning board, and I don't know, is there an agenda that tells you that we'll get an answer back to things, or you don't respond?
We're not supposed to respond.
Well, I don't mean tonight. Do you ever get to respond?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I know you're not going to talk to me tonight, but you will get back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did everybody hear that? No. Well, could you give me a date? No. What'd she say?
He asked me what were the questions, and I said she must be talking about her 4 points.
I did.
The questions you would
Yeah.
like answered?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you telling me I don't have any questions?
No.
Because I had a group that helped me with this. I'd like them to stand, but they'd kill me. No, these are important things here. And I do want some answers to this. And then one more thing I'm adding by myself. I live in Christian Villas. There is an ADA road right, I can see it from my front porch. And at some point it was discussed they were going to come in and widen that road. Well, if you do, you're going to come on down, and then my road will be right beside that road. I mean, my house. And then there's a long building that is more for mentally challenged or disabled. You'll be taking their little bitty porch that they've got down there. So somebody said, well, if they were to do that, and then if someone were to get killed, it'd cause a lawsuit. So I'm just warning you that there might be a lawsuit, because I know all my neighbors, well, the ones that will open the door. But these people, we've worked a long time to get where we are. And if you want to see what our houses look like, they are gorgeous. And I'm thankful I live there. But I don't want something to come in there where people run the risk of crossing the road and getting killed, with fire trucks coming through or the police. Do you hear what I'm saying? You got to come on out and protect us. Now, I know you're going to be shocked. I'm 74. Somebody could have said I wouldn't have believed it. See, you're a preacher. You know how to do this talking. But anyway, I want you to take care of us. And it's not about Susan Warner. I'll speak up for anybody that's out there that I see hurting. But we've got to make sure we're taking care of the residents of King. Right, Mr. Attorney? No, I want your opinion. Anyway, I appreciate you listening. But can I just say, my heart's heavy, because this is a big deal. And King can be changed forever. And as long as we're in September, we've been talking about this since the first of the year. How long is it going to take to talk about how do we fix this if it goes forward and it doesn't work? All right. So I'm going to give the city clerk a copy of this. Is that allowed?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Warner.
Do you
I'll
want a
close.
copy of all my figures?
No, ma'am.
You sure you got them?
I'll close this public comment at 7 p.m. Council, we have this proposed amendment by the Arden Group, Chapter 32, Article 3, Section 32-163 and Section 32-164, proposed addition to Chapter 32, Article 5, Division 1, Section 32-261, and I'll open this up for a motion.
I'd like to make a comment first.
Okay.
We're still, I'm sorry, we're still in the public hearing part. That item is down here as an action item under 9C.
I'm sorry.
Is that a different one? Okay, I'm sorry. I was incorrect.
I had it up as number 6.
You're right.
Okay. I opened it and closed it for public comment, so, okay, open for discussion.
I would just like to make a couple of comments. First of all, I'm looking at this text amendment, not specifically for what one area of King, but what I can say is, here's my belief. Right now, we are working very hard. I go down White Road just about every other day, and I see all those people out there working. It's going to increase our traffic. I go over to King's Crossing. It's going to increase our traffic. We have lots and lots of stuff going on. I do believe, and I have called for a traffic study in our area. That takes a while, and I'm sorry, but a traffic memorandum just doesn't get it for me. I want our comp plan updated. We need that very much updated. That needs to be one of the things on our radar. We also need our storm water updated. We actually, in this budget, this past budget, started a stormwater fund that we can maybe have a little money. And if the same thing happens to us that happened in Western North Carolina, what would we do? We would have no recourse. So I would not be able to vote for this. Thank you.
Mr. Bowles, you have any comments you'd like to make on it? Okay. Mr. Lane?
Yes. As I read this, there are things that I like and things that I don't like. It is definitely true. Our staff has agreed that what we have is out of date. It should be updated. At the same time, since I think everyone up here who's been elected has been elected, we've seen houses built and built and built, and more coming to be built that, quite frankly, we didn't approve. The 5 of us here, right, that were approved in decades gone by. And, I said recently, when you get elected and you're sworn in, there's no time to sit down and say, all right, this is coming and this is coming and this was approved 25 years ago and this was laid out. You learn this as you go. You do. That's just the way these things work. And we live here too, right? That's a requirement of the job that all 5 of us have up here, is that we have to live here. We ride on the same streets you live on. We pay the same taxes you pay. And like Jane said, I ride through these developments all the time, just to keep tabs on what's going on, to see what's going up, to make sure things are going the way they do. At the same time, we hear what you're saying. I appreciate you coming out saying these things, each of you who've been here for public comment. We see what's said on Facebook. We hear what's said at different places around town. We understand these things. I do like the idea of a planned urban development or a commercial mixed use. At this commercial mixed use development. At the same time, I chair Economic Development Committee. We met this morning, and a big part of economic development is having land to develop your economy. Right? And my fear is they're not making any more land, and at some point we're going to run out of it. And if everything that we do is building more houses, we'll have less land to develop our economy here. Mm-hmm. Right? We can't survive on, as some of you have already stated tonight, the tax revenue that comes in from residential. If this plan were to move forward, I would like personally to see a guarantee of more commercial property there, because commercial property doesn't just pay property tax, they also pay sales tax, right? So there's a whole lot more going on here than just building houses and getting revenue, right? And adding traffic and all those things. So I do like this idea, and I think it might be the right answer at the wrong time. I fully agree with what Jane has said, that our comp plan is too far behind, and really, I think all of us would agree needs to be probably a higher priority than it is. This traffic study from DOT is something that for the last year Jane's been preaching, for the last 4 years I've been working on, probably not quite as ardently as she has. But I really would like to see us have our ducks in a row on traffic, and it's just slow. It's slow. The wheels of government turn slow, and that's the thing I hate most about this job, right? I love most things about it. I hate how slow government moves. But once we see our traffic study, understand where we are, understand not only where we are now, but where we'll be with 800 cars added or 1,000 cars added or more developments added. Then we have our comprehensive land use plan, understanding where traffic needs to flow in the future, how land needs to be used, what needs to be industrial, what needs to be residential. And we put all those things together, then I think we're ready to answer this question. Right now, I don't think we're ready to answer this question. So I know that's a long way of saying it, but I want y'all to understand our heart up here, right? And I don't think I'm speaking for everybody, but at the same time, I think I'm echoing what most of us feel up here, is that this growth is almost overwhelming at times, right? Again, we drive these same streets you do. We feel it. And I think this is a good chance for us to put our fingerprint on something, to press pause. I don't think we should press the stop button on this, but to press the pause button, understanding where we want to be in the future. And as we put our city together in the way that we want, and we hear our citizens, we hear your voices, then that gives us the chance maybe 5, maybe 2, maybe 5, maybe 10 years down the road to then press play again and allow this type of thing to move forward. So I like this, I just don't like it at the moment. And I'm sorry to be so long-winded. I'm a preacher, as she said. That's what we do.
You know, when a preacher looks at his watch, what that means?
I'm that too.
When a preacher looks at his watch, you know what that means? Nothing.
It's true.
Ms. Fowler?
Yeah. Well, as I said earlier, I agree with what Jane and Michael have said. I don't think that our city is ready for this, this tool right now. And we do, it's frustrating about the traffic study, that we can't get it going, but they don't do things on our time. So we are waiting for that. And we definitely need to have priority for the comp plan. It definitely needs to be updated. And so I could not be in favor of approving this at this time.
Well, I know when I looked at the pros and the cons for this, I'll just read some of the cons. You know, we all look at what positive it could do, and I think it could be positive. But I agree with Mr. Lane that, you know, when you see these developments, we've got a new one coming in Country Place where we live. And I had an informational meeting with the residents there to explain to them that was planned 50 years ago. I had a lady that doesn't live in the city limits, and she blasted me on Facebook. I wish Facebook would go away, because you can say things about people you would not say to their face. But she said the mayor said there would be no more developments built until we do a traffic study. That development was developed 50 years ago. 50 years ago. And we did an informational meeting with the residents and explained it to them, and I think the people were happy. They knew that it wasn't in, and none of us even voted for all of that to happen, but it's fell in our lap now to take care of it. And when we look at one of the things that I saw on here was some of the language in the proposed amendment is not as defined as what we have in our existing PUD and other use districts. But what really struck me was which could cause various legal issues. We don't want to do anything that causes legal issues that the city would incur over something like that. And then the need for an updated comp plan to see if where the mixed-use district would work. One thing that I see a problem with, personally myself, is if we pinpoint this could be used anywhere in our city. You know, it's not just pointed out that it would be over behind Walmart. Everybody's saying Walmart. Arden, you just heard them. They were not even saying Walmart. We don't know what will go there. But I do agree with Councilman Lane. I'd love to see a Bass Pro Shop or something like that come in there. We've got a Walmart there. You know, if we had something like that come in there, that would bring revenue into our city, people coming there, maybe the newspaper put Bass Pro Shop needs to come to King. I don't know what would fit there best. I'm not opposed to what they're doing here. I think the Arden Group has got some great ideas, and it would be a good thing to have in our toolbox, as they say it. But it's not up to me. I don't have a vote unless it's a split vote. So y'all can't blame me for how it's voted tonight. But I tell you what, council works hard. I'm gonna tell you, these four right here, they work hard. They think about things. Our planning board, they work hard, and they try to set things aside that are not good before it comes to us. And sometimes it comes to us, and then we have to make some tough decisions. And I live here. I want to see it done the right way. I want to see my grandchildren be able to live here. So, you know, and with growth, you know, you look at our police department. He said we're one shy of having a full staff, and we're going to have a new one there, a new fireman. So with growth, you've got growing pains. But these four right here, they try hard. Now, you might throw tomatoes at them or whatever. You might go on Facebook and blast them. Tell them to their face. Come to their face. Don't put it on Facebook. Come to their face. I know there was a bunch of questions, and Councilman Lane tried to answer all those questions. And then somehow it got deleted. I'm not going on Facebook anymore. So you can't say the mayor said this, because I'm not going to comment on that. But anyway, enough said. I'm going to entertain a motion on this.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
The applicant, you had a statement for a moment.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Milt Rhodes, 412 North Marshall Street, Fort Arden. I'd just like to say a couple of things. Number one, we did enter this in the spirit of collaboration with your team. At the time, you had no planning director. You had a planner that was somewhere in between, and it was encouraged. And so we've always entered this in a spirit of collaboration. We've worked with your team to come up with the best answer we could come up with at the right time. We hear you. Comp plan is about the number one thing you can do. Gotta do it. You gotta do it soon. Because your zoning code is your best economic development tool. And when your zoning code was written 40 years ago, your zoning code was written, your PUD ordinance was written 40 years ago. It doesn't say we're here for economic development. You've got a 40-year-old zoning code. Needs to be updated. We'd like to help you do that because we are in the business of developing in the community. We live here. We're partners, and we always have been. So please, look at that as an opportunity for your future. A couple of points I want to make clear. No piece of property is under our consideration right now. We want to do business in King. Your ordinance really doesn't let us do business in King except for minimum standard development. Minimum standard development doesn't say good economic development. It says meet minimum standards. Number two, the ordinance that we drafted here by working with your staff provides the traffic memorandum as a way to get started. And then it says, as applicable, a full traffic impact analysis for review by the city engineer and or NCDOT shall be provided prior to the issuance of any driveway permits. It means you can't do anything until you do that. You got to get through that test. I want to make sure that was clear. Because we're working to come up with something that does bring you added tax value rather than just single purpose, single family residential tax base, which, as you point out, doesn't pay the bills. 40-year-old ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. right, council. At this point, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to move that we deny the text amendment that has been brought to us by Arden Group, Chapter 32, Article 3, Section 32-163, and Section 32-164, proposed addition to Chapter 32, Article 5, Division 1, Section 32-261.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I hear a second?
Second?
All in favor of the denial? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous to be denied. Thank you, council. Thank you, Arden Group, for all your hard work, too.
Thank you. Thank you, Mill.
Okay, moving right along. We're in section 7. Anyone would like to be excused at this point, but you're welcome to stay as long as you like.
Hey, I'll see you.
We'll let it die down just a minute. Would like to thank everybody that came to speak on that topic, and know that council hears you. Number 7 is an informational item only, and this is to clarify that as part of our effort to improve the downtown area of King, we've now purchased the property of Roy and Jane Sue Hensley at 205 South Main Street. That's a property that's just adjacent, just beside of the Quonset hut. That now belongs to the city. And be able to acquire that was some grant money that Kyle Hall, our House representative, made available for us. So you'll see future growth there, hopefully. Undecided right now exactly what we're going to do, but they're not making any more land, and if we can get something at a good cost, and plus that's what Kyle intended for that money to be used for in King. So this is just for informational item only for your knowledge.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wondered if the agreement for this purchase is incorporated by reference in our minutes?
Can be.
It's public information.
Only if you ask me to. I'm not putting any agreement. Only if you ask me.
It's public information, yeah.
Well, once everybody in here knows we purchased it and it gets on Facebook, everybody's gonna know it anyway.
What you buy for? Or if you check the register of deeds in plat book 23, page 182.
Right. Yeah, you can check with you. All right, we're on to, excuse me, you're out of order. No. Number 9 is an action item, and this is we now have some vacancies on our planning board, and we need to seat one person for our current regular member, a full seat, and then we have 2 vacancies on our current alternate. And we do have some applications, so I think council has had a chance to look over these, and I'll entertain a motion of what you'd like to see done with the applicants. First off, we would need to seat one person on the vacant seat of the current regular members.
I have a recommendation for appointment, if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to recommend for the regular position, Peter Mosco. I have read through all the information, all the resumes, and I believe he has a long history of working in a prior community that he was in, it appears so.
Okay. Are there any other nominations that council would like to make for the, that vacancy? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for that particular one, which, Mrs. Cole made the motion. I'll entertain a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Fowler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0, in approval. All right, current alternates, we have 2 seats open there. So I'll entertain a motion for, from what applicants we have, or what you would like to see done at this point.
I'll make a motion, we approve Jerry Sneed for one of those alternate positions.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Are there other?
Are there any other that you'd like to nominate for that?
No, sir.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of seating Jerry Sneed as an alternate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. We have one other vacancy. Entertain a motion for that seat. We do have some applicants, or whatever the council sees fit, if you wanted to table it for more applicants, or pick one from what we've got on here.
Personally, I'd like to table it for more applicants.
Table for more applicants. For Mr. Lane.
Second.
Second for Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor of tabling it, the second alternate for more applicants? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. So we will seat Peter Mosco as on the current regular, and Jack Sneed on the current alternates. And then we'll have the other vacancy and bring that back up to council once we get some more applicants. All right. Item B is a consideration of the budget amendment 2025-06.01, and I think Ms. O'Brien probably has this.
Mayor, Council, this budget amendment adds $270,567 to the police department for their new radios and a replacement vehicle that was approved at a prior meeting. And the amendment also adds $92,791 to the fire department for their new radios and a rollover of some unexpended funds from the prior year to complete their storage building that was partly grant funded. The radios, the vehicle costs will of course be offset by installment purchase financing, the loan that we're working to close now. And then $27,192 will be rolled back from fund balance because that was unexpended, went into fund balance at June 30th, and now we'd like to pull it back out so the fire department can finish their storage building.
Okay. Council have any questions of Ms. O'Brien?
These are the ones that we talked about at the last meeting that was urgent that they get.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the loan that y'all approved at the last meeting. Yes, ma'am.
And part of this, just for knowledge, the new radios for the PD and the fire department are required. And it hit us kind of blindsided, and it's a requirement. We don't have any alternative but to do it. So, okay, so consideration of budget amendment 2025-06.01.
I make a motion, we approve budget amendment 2025-06.01.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Was Michael? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. And number C on here is update chapter 12, environmental chapter 26, section 26-205, sidewalk and multipurpose trails. I think you have this one, sir?
I do, thank you, Mayor Council. In using this chapter to enforce our nuisance and junk vehicle laws, our attorney has pointed out that this chapter hasn't been updated since 1998. State laws have undergone significant changes since then, and we need to update our ordinance to reflect these changes, enabling staff to enforce them effectively. Additionally, some council members have requested that we review updating our sidewalk policy to include sidewalks on both sides of the street rather than just one. Hopefully, we can have our attorney prepare a draft revision by late fall, and we can then review the proposed changes, set the public hearing notice, and adopt the changes. The same would be true for this amendment to section 26-205, sidewalks, if the council decides to move forward with updating this section. Staff recommends making these updates. We had issues with the attorney, and he will address chapter 12, and Councilman Lane will address the sidewalks.
Okay.
Well, so this came to me with a question about towing junk or abandoned vehicles off of private property. Specifically, if a vehicle is untagged or insurance is expired, can you go in and remove it? And the answer is, because it's on private property and it's a piece of private personal property, you can't just go in and tow it off just because it is untagged. Your ordinance in chapter 12 has a procedure for doing that. The North Carolina General Statutes also have authorized local governments to remove abandoned or abandoned junk vehicles off of private property if you follow a lot of procedures, including a hearing before the fact. And that's what's lacking from the city's ordinance. And if we could update that, it would allow the city a tool for, in certain circumstances, not every case, but addressing abandoned junk motor vehicles on private property. So Todd and I had some back and forth about that, and I have some specific things we can include in updating just that one specific section of chapter 12.
Okay. Mr. Lane?
Yeah, just as I mentioned earlier, I ride through all these developments all the time. I think probably all of us do from time to time, just to check out what's going on. Currently, basically in our ordinance, if you develop commercial property, an area of a business, you're required to put sidewalks in front of your business. If you develop a residential area, you're required to put sidewalks on one side of the road. Walkability is becoming a bigger deal all the time, and furthermore, safety alongside walkability is a big deal. So this would give us the opportunity to basically have developers pay to put in sidewalks on both sides of the road that would be no upfront cost to the city, and just make for a more walkable, nicer city as developments are added.
Okay. Council, have any questions of the attorney or Mr. Lane?
I just have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we definitely should update our ordinance, because, you know, if it hadn't been updated since 1998, I'm sure there's some laws that's been changed, and we need to do that. As far as the sidewalks are concerned, yes, I think that's probably a good idea, Councilman Lane, because I checked into that. I was worried at first about for instance, where I live, all the cables and so forth are underground, and I didn't want our people to have to dig up a sidewalk to get to a water line or a cable, but I was assured that wasn't gonna happen, so I'm okay with that.
When I first looked at this, here's another thing that we need to be updated. Our codes need to be, but 1998 since we've done something like this. I too was concerned about underground utilities, but all of the new developments now are requiring to put underground utilities. So we could probably keep it out of the right of way, to be able to make it work in case we need to get in there for a water leak or electrical problems or as such as that. So, I think it's a good thing. Of course, this would probably not affect any of the new neighborhoods that are already on the books. Wouldn't affect any of those.
Correct.
But it's just anything going forward, like I said, that development that was 50 years ago, it wouldn't affect that one. So anything going forward would have to go by that if council sees fit to pass this update. So no other discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve to update Chapter 12, Environment by our city attorney and for staff to update Chapter 26, Section 26-205, sidewalks, multipurpose trails.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All approved, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council.
Now, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just one clarification on whether this would affect new developments or developments that have already gone through. If the ordinance is amended to include sidewalks on both sides of the street, it would apply to new developments, subdivisions that are approved after the ordinance comes into play.
Right.
If you're referring to Country Heights, like, yes, that was like a thought-out phase back then, but there have been the plans approved.
Okay.
So the plat is yet to be approved, and the new statute, the new ordinance is in place at that time, it would likely apply to the new plat.
Good. Oh, good. That's good. Well, I did notice on those plans that they had sidewalks in there, but it was on one side of the road. So, okay.
There's been no plans approved, it was just part of an overall conceptual design back then, I guess.
Okay.
So how long does it take for us to get it fixed, get this done?
Well, I would, along with one other thing I'm gonna recommend to you later, plan to have this to you in the next couple of weeks.
So
we
any
would have
plat,
it at our next meeting?
any
That
plat,
would be the goal.
Okay.
okay. So any plat going forward would fall into this.
It depends on the circumstances of the rezoning and what approval they already have.
Okay.
It's hard to say it would, to cover it across the board without knowing the details of each one.
Okay.
You all ready to set the public hearing date for that?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I suggest we set it at the next meeting, if that's, is that gonna be, will that be good?
Set it now for to update ordinance, chapter 12, the
Uh-huh.
ordinance, yeah.
You can set the public date now for next month.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Okay. All-
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Okay, we're on to 9D, which is a revision of ordinance 2024-03 to 2025-08. And I think you have that one too, don't you, sir?
Thank you.
All right.
This annexation was approved by council back on June 3rd, 2024, but the prior planning director didn't record the right ordinance with the right ordinance number, nor was the annexation map recorded. We need to approve resolution 2025-10 that will change the ordinance number back from 2024-03 to 2025-08, and then re-record the new ordinance and meets and bounds along with the annexation map per the North Carolina General Statute 168-29. Staff recommends approving resolution 2025-10, fixing the number of the Sullivan voluntary annexation ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Council have any questions on this? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
And Mr. Mayor, just to clarify one thing for the minutes, we're not amending the ordinance at all. We're just assigning it a new number. The ordinance that was approved in 2024 was effective then and will remain effective as of the same date.
I think it was authorizing the clerk to, the correction from the date from July 3rd, 2024 to June 3rd.
Yeah, so there's another piece of this. Not only the ordinance number was incorrect, but the ordinance that you signed, Mr. Mayor, after it was adopted in June was correct. It says the June date, but the ordinance the copy that was submitted to the Register of Deeds has a July date, which is incorrect. And so we need to correct that. Record the ordinance with the correct number, record the plat referring back to the ordinance with the correct number, and send it to the Secretary of State. And the resolution before you allows us to do that.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2025-10.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, Council. We're on to departmental reports. Does the council have any questions or concerns about the departmental reports that they would like to address at this time? If not, I'll entertain a motion to acknowledge receipt of the departmental report.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Ms. Fowler, Mr. Lane, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Items of general concern. Mr. Bowles, looks like you're up first.
I don't really have much to say, but just from what we've talked about earlier, we up here very much consider what the citizens have to say, and we also we live here. I live about 2 minutes that way, so very much a part of this community in a extremely tangible way, and so just to kind of reassure, I think sometimes people forget that we live here too. So just wanted to say that, and also just wanted to say that how sorry I was to hear about Gina. I did get to go to the funeral, and just gone very much too soon, and she's going to be greatly missed. I've been praying for the Callaway family, and also if you need an example of a very, very strong woman, the lady sitting beside me is exemplary. She just a wonderful example of a leader for this city. So.
I'll second that.
All right, Mr. Lane.
As this has already been mentioned, Gina used to sit right there in those meetings, right next to the chaplain there, and has meant a lot to the city for a long time. And at her funeral, it's always, as sad as funerals are, it was very nice to see the video of her life. I always enjoy those. And what I noticed in Gina's pictures, unless I missed one, was there wasn't a single work picture up there. What I mean by that is we know people on the work side of things, but there's so much more to life than work. Right? There's so much more to life than clocking in and clocking out and what we accomplish at work. And then a couple days later, went to AJ's visitation there. And what I saw at AJ's visitation was pictures of family and baseball stuff, which very much resonated with me. And there's so much more to life than just going to work. What we accomplish with our family. I spent yesterday at Carowinds with my family, spending time with the little people and my wife, and it's just, we forget so much the things that are most important. And I don't think we can do enough or say enough to honor Gina and then, you know, AJ and what Jane's gone through in the past month. And I just, life is so valuable. You know, take advantage of every second, of every moment with spouses, with family members, with friends. Live life to the fullest, you know? I believe that's the way God designed us to live. Next, our comp report, or I'm sorry, our comp plan has become of more significance than I think any of us realized. It's something that we've been talking about for several years, and they're quite expensive. But I think, as has already been mentioned, we all hear our citizens very much on this. And I would like for us, even if it requires a budget amendment, I'm really not worried about that. I think the thing that our citizens want is for us to understand where we need to go in our future. And I don't think we can move forward without that comp plan. So I would really like to see us as a council begin to move forward in that comp plan to begin to make things happen. It's a 1 to 2 year process. Even if we start it today, you know, it's not done next week. As we've already mentioned, government turns slow. But I would love to see us strongly consider moving that thing forward. Not a rush job, but as quickly as we can so that we can begin to move forward as a city and understand what to approve and what to decline, more than just our gut feeling, but based on the facts at hand and decisions that, you know, people who do this for a living have made. I think that's something that's important for us to do. So that is all I've got for tonight.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't want to start crying, but I want to thank everybody for your love and support during this time. Everybody's been wonderful, and I feel it, and I want to thank my fellow council members for all they've done for me and supported me in many ways. I want to thank the employees of the city of King, and yes, I do miss Gina, and I will always miss Gina, and I'm so sorry that I didn't get to attend her funeral, but I had other things going on. So, and there's one person in this room, I know that all the city employees really work hard, and I really appreciate all you do. Every time I call you and ask you for an answer to a question, you're always there, and you always look it up or find it or do whatever needs to be done. But I tell you, there's one fella in this room with all this building. Ricky, you have been very busy, and I thank you for that. I'm sure you've worked many, many hours, and I thank you so much. I'm glad maybe now you have someone helping you. So thanks to all the city employees and all my friends and everybody here and all this community. This community is a wonderful community to be in, and I'm proud to be here from King too. Thank you.
Amen. Councilwoman Fowler.
As Michael said, he was talking about family, and family is very important. And I know that Gina was like a mother hen to most all of the guys, well, probably to all the guys down in where she worked, and I know that she meant a lot to all of them. And Gina's Celebration of Life service was a beautiful service. And seeing our employees be able to go and attend that service, I mean, all the people, it was just, it was very heartwarming. So I know that y'all miss her, and we miss her too, and she can't be replaced. There's nobody that can take her place. I would hate to have to step in her shoes, but I want to thank all of you, all of our staff, people that aren't here. Scott, if you can just let them know, we really appreciate how everybody has stepped up and stepped in to take over her duties, because I think probably, since she's not here anymore, I think probably we realize that she did a lot more than we knew she did. So anyway, and I'm thankful for the four of you that I'm able to work with on the council, and I appreciate all the hard work that y'all put into everything.
City Manager Bear, I usually go over you. You have any comments you'd like to make? I looked over and saw teary eyes. I know you. I know where you at, brother. I'd like to thank everybody that's here. We're gonna miss Gina. You ride around town, you see things that she's touched all over the city. And we are family, council, we fuss back and forth with each other on items that y'all don't hear about. And then we come here and try to put on a face that y'all think, well, they got their act together, but we're human too. And, but we've got great people that work for this city. I'm just so proud of this city to be your mayor. One thing, Paula does a great job at the senior center. I was looking over her little chart here of different things that she does, and point out something. September is National Senior Center Month, and the week of the 22nd is National Fall Prevention Awareness Week. So we need to think about that. And she's also going to have a booth at Stokes County Fair. Also, Gretchen is here with our, there you are. She'll provide a workshop on Alzheimer's disease at the King Public Library, and we've all been affected by that. We'll celebrate the 18th annual of our senior center on September 23rd at 3 p.m. with cake and ice cream. So we're planning on being to that. Thank you for the good job you do. Chief, thank y'all for keeping our city safe. And with that,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor.
I failed to
Oh,
mention one thing.
sorry.
There's a sweet lady who lives just outside of our city limits named Peggy Rakes, who goes to church with me. And she has these postcards of downtown King, I believe from the 1920s.
Wow.
And she brought them to me at church on Sunday and said that she would love to give these to the city just for the historical record. So I just wanted to mention that they're up here, and you know, maybe we can hang them in the office there or something. But they're very neat, and I want to let it be known that Miss Peggy gave these to the city because they're very neat.
If Miss Peggy's watching, thank you so much.
Oh, nice.
Any of you like to look at these after the meeting? We did put in on the agenda to go into closed session, and I'm going to entertain a motion to go into closed session at this point for the 3 different general statutes that we had mentioned earlier. So I'll entertain a motion at this point to go into closed session.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lane. I hear a second.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Fowler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We're going to go closed session at this point, and thank you, everyone, for being here.
I did too.
All I can think.
Hey, did you get this sheet? You want that?
Was that the one that I gave out?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, we're called back into session at 9:07, and no action was taken in closed session. So we're now back in open session, and we're going to discuss the lighting of the ball field at Rec
Mr. Mayor and council, we have discovered an issue at the Recreation Acres ball fields, specifically ball field number 3. There are 4 lights that light that field, and 3 of them are currently not working. This issue was presented to us late last week. Staff had a contractor to investigate, and they investigated it Friday afternoon. And because Monday was the holiday, they looked back into it today and feel that the underground wiring to the ball field lights is bad, for lack of a better words. When we redone these ball field lights a couple of years ago, one of the things that we did not do was fix any of the wiring or undergrounds feeding those poles. The only wiring that was changed was from the base of the pole up to the lights itself. These lights, these wires have been underground since the late 70s, and so we have a potential thinking that maybe a lightning storm, the last storm we had, may have caused this damage, but without tearing into it and digging it out of the ground, we won't know until work has begun. We did get a price today of about $12,100 to have this repaired. Of course, this is an unforeseen instance, so I don't know exactly where we would get the funds at. I do know that King Little League has reached out today in public comment and late last week, saying that they would be willing to help out in this cost. And I believe Mr. Justin told us today that they would be willing to upfront some about $5,000 to this cost.
If the council wanted to do it, we could always check our contingency. We had some still in contingency this year. There was none budgeted.
From leftover funds?
Yeah, but
Would
we had
you-
some going back in contingency.
would you check?
and see what-
Susan had checked on it a little bit this morning, but she didn't have the exact figure. But I think she said we might. Yeah, that's a Susan a question for Mr. O'Brien.
Yeah, because with as many kids as they have playing Little League.
I agree.
And then if them paying $400 to rent those lights and then being a little bit of a safety hazard for those children,
Well-
and we need something for young people to do, and
Well, I wanna do the light. I
Yeah, I
wanna
do
make
too.
sure they're fixed.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about if we had some contingency left over from the last year, we could use some of that.
Let me check and see what we got. But I'm just going from memory, but I would say like clean some is what we had.
I have a,
Let me check.
Especially
Well,
with Little League
if they
saying
could
they'll
do
pay a
5.
yeah.
So we're talking about
And-
6,100 for us?
Yeah.
And by the way, this is the worst case scenario.
So
it
might
could
not
come in
be-
cheaper than this.
I have a question. Is it wise for us to take money from the Little League on something like this, since it is a park use? I know they use it heavily, probably more heavily than anybody else. But I don't know if that is wise of us to do that or not.
That all depends on if you want it to be, the way the relationship kind of is now is that it's a tenant.
Yeah.
We are the landlord, they are the tenant kind of people, and they are basically using it from us. That's not to say that we can't do it. I'm just telling you exactly what.
They don't pay anything to be a tenant, but they're offering 5,000, so we need to take it.
Yeah, I just don't want this to be,
Do they-
a situation of, we gave you this, now you need to make sure you do this for us kind of situation.
I don't think that's the kind of relationship we have.
And I don't
No, we've
think so
done
either.
things like this in the past.
How much, do we get, they pay us a player fee?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
How much is that?
It's $12 for inside and $15 for outside per player.
Okay, if they do that, that goes into the Parks and Rec fund. And we've
Yeah, pretty much.
distributed that out to other things.
Yeah, y'all already budgeted all.
Yeah, I know. Let's see if we can get it out of contingency,
Yeah.
the 7,000.
I agree with that.
I got a question to pose too. You said it might have been storm related. Do we have insurance?
We do. We don't know we won't know until we actually dig the wire out if it's bad or not. It's gonna be a hard thing to prove. I'm not saying we can't, and once we get the wire out of the ground, we'll know more. But for somebody to tear all this out is gonna be a
The
job.
timing is very interesting for our newest lights, 3 of them to be out. So I would hope that that was a storm related.
This price,
I did have another question in that. Have we tested the actual lights and the wiring that was installed 3 years ago? Have we tested all that to make sure they work?
yes.
And
They megged those out from the pole, from the breaker panel on the pole, the junction box on the
Yeah.
pole, to the lights. That megs out fine. We check it at the
Did they actually
breaker.
turn them on, I guess, or no?
Well, we ain't got power going to them. We've lost one leg of power is what's happened
Okay.
to each pole, except for one. So there's 4 poles out there. 3 of them are not working. One of them is.
Did you happen to see any lightning strike?
No, we have not. We didn't
Spots?
see any spots like that. We have the 208 coming into the panel, and we don't have it going out to the lights. We megged the lights from the junction box up to the top, and that megged fine. What we didn't do, what we have done is megged from the breaker box to there, and we're not getting anything there, which kind of tells us that it's in the underground. The issue is underground.
I just don't want to
That,
dig up the whole yard.
Those wires were actually laid in the late 70s, and there's no conduit, so it's a direct. I mean, it's just wire laid to ground.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We're finding out all kinds of things that have been left go.
We're outdated
This
everywhere.
this proposal.
was done in '89, I remember.
That field, field number 7 and field number 3 were done that way. Field 5 and 6 were done in '89. Fields 3 and 7 were done by the Rueton Club for the softball league, is what I was told today. And this proposal basically takes, we assumed worst case scenario, and that's replacing the wire from the breaker box all the way out to the junction panel at each pole. What they're going to attempt to do is find where they all come together and put a junction box in the ground there and replace it from there back to the breaker panel. And hopefully be able to meg it from, once we cut those lines, to meg it to each pole and see if the wires are good there. So that
Yeah.
would bring the cost down.
Okay. And is that, in your professional opinion, is that a satisfactory fix?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Even though
Do you
it's not
think
being all
they
replaced,
can-
it's a
Yes.
satisfactory fix?
Once they get into it, do you think they can determine if it was storm related?
Possibly. I'm not an
Be
electrician.
sure
but
and make a
I'm-
picture of it.
Yeah, I mean, once they get the wire out of the ground, if it's burnt, you want a couple of things happen. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, you get a statement from them for the insurance and pictures
Yes.
and
we
all
can
that.
definitely try to file it on insurance. I mean, the worst they're going to say is no. You know,
I would definitely try it. So we do have insurance though, right?
we do have insurance.
Well, the odds of that, if it wasn't lightning, we need to all play the lottery, because
Right.
3 lights to go out at the same time is
Right.
something.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's storm related.
Oh, yeah.
We got insurance on everything. We've even got insurance on the building we just took ownership.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, I mean, but the contractor we dealt with had done this for many years on those actual ball field lights. They're actually the same ones that we contracted with to do the lights that are all up there now. So they're very familiar with the area and what's going on. And they provided this solution, and staff seemed to think that it was a pretty good solution.
My big thing is I just want a good long-term fix.
Yeah.
I don't want to halfway do it now and then.
Everything
spend
that they
another 10.
proposed will go back in conduit as well. And we actually have, so each light on that field, 2 of the outfield lights are fed from one breaker, the 2 infield lights are fed from another breaker, and then you have another breaker that feeds field 7, all of field 7. What they were going to do was put a conduit off the last outfield pole closest to field 7 and stub it up. So that way, hopefully it doesn't, but if Field 7 was to go that bad, they could tie these lights into Field 3 and get power to it pretty easily, without having to dig up the whole park.
That's good.
When did you get that estimate?
Today, at about 4:50 something this afternoon.
Right before you got here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Was
do we?
that an estimate just from one company, or?
It is just from one company.
So are we gonna get more?
We can, that's the
But you think that-
electrician
But you think that's reasonable? Is that the electrician who did work for us?
that does all our work.
Does
It does
all-
all of
Does all
our
our work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
KC Electric. is that-
It's MTS Solutions, out of Winston-Salem, but the guy that's heading this project up lives right here in King. And
I'd
so-
want to go ahead and do it because seemed like it was a sense of urgency because of the number of games he's already scheduled on that.
The first game starts September 6th.
And today's the second.
Can we get it done by
Didn't you
then?
say that the guy said he would make it a priority?
Yeah, the guy said that if we give him the go-ahead, that they could probably get started and pretty quickly.
Well,
Uh,
sound like we
staff-
got time to
Because
get
that's-
these bids.
Yeah.
That's 3 days. I mean,
I'll let y'all know tomorrow if we got the done.
Yeah. Staff, this price does not include digging up the asphalt, because they would come from the concession stand over to Field 3. That asphalt would have to be cut up and dug out, and Utilities Department's gonna cut that out and dig that up for them. So, I mean,
and I guess they'll be able to patch that with some cold patch.
yeah, we'll cold patch it back. So,
Okay, so do we need to entertain a motion for this to give him leadway to go ahead?
Yes.
I make a motion, we, give, the city engineer permission to move forward with, repairing, getting the lights repaired on field number 3, but with the Little League sharing in the cost.
Contingent on us having 7.1K
Yeah.
in contingent.
Yes.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Any other discussion on anything?
On the Economic Development Committee, we do have an opening, and I would like to see if, while the clerk is advertising the planning board opening, if she can also advertise our opening for the Economic Development Board as well, our committee.
I would do that a little differently on the economic development. Have to check the bylaws.
Okay. Pending the bylaws, I guess, is that?
Yeah.
But this isn't really a vote thing, this is just something we'll
Yeah,
give general
yeah,
direction on,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to check the bylaws on how we do that. for the
Okay.
board.
That works.
Is that a capacity appointment? It's not a capacity, in other words, somebody doesn't have to be a builder or a.
Yes, they
Oh,
do.
they do, so
Yeah.
it is a capacity
So
appointment.
I'm thinking that that board selects who it is and brings it. I need to check on that.
On those lines, did you read the qualifications of Mr. Peter Mosco?
I did.
He might be a good one to see.
Can you be on 2 boards? He's also
He's-
not a builder.
Well, he actually
he's-
checked on there to be
just-
ABC Board, Economic Development
And
Committee,
there's,
and planning.
multiple
I don't
office
think
holders
he's a good-
involved.
Excuse me?
I wouldn't think so. He's new, I think, in the local area. Like in King.
You wouldn't think so what?
Like he would be a good fit on that board.
I don't see why not,
Oh,
with his
what board?
qualifications.
You can, with the multiple office law says you can have you can have 2 appointed to 2 boards by a governmental entity, or 1 appointed and 1 elected.
Right.
So,
See, he's been an inspector, he's been all kinds of, building inspector,
we'll
all
just
kinds
put
of.
him on the planning board, right?
Yeah, I'd like to see him.
They need to keep his certifications.
Yeah, does he want to be a building inspector?
He was a member of the planning and ZOA member for 12 years,
You
frankly.
can keep his certification. We'll work him at that till Corey gets really good.
Commercial, he was elected councilman, yeah, I mean.
Where's he from?
I don't know if he wants.
You said he was
boards.
at one of the meetings, and I can't place him.
He was at the planning board meeting.
He lives in that house that Andy Cromer used to have, right there behind the, on, or would it be called West Main
Where did, I didn't know Andy lived there.
at one time? Right beside of the
Oh.
Hop In?
Hop in,
Big-
what's that?
Well, Kangaroo, Hop In.
Where, the Shackelford house.
Yeah.
That was Betty's house. Then her son lived there. And I didn't know Andy lived
Yeah,
there.
Andy lived there at one time.
Oh.
That's where he
I think
lives.
I'd wanna ask him if he wanted to serve on two, but those
113.
are two pretty big
Yeah,
boards.
yeah.
113 East King Street.
Yeah.
But you can still advertise that as a capacity appointment.
Because he get checked all through.
can help.
ABC, Economic Development.
Is there, the girl that covers us, is her name Emma, Emma?
Covers of what?
He was, job duties,
We talking about-
performed inspections
The,
on various stages of construction, commercial and residential,
Hey.
enforced local zoning and state adopted.
I saw her.
Okay, well.
Okay. Sorry, Charlie.
You know
Okay,
what her name
anything else you want to discuss?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll entertain a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
Sorry, we got into a side call.